an amazing place London is. I was there from Thursday or Wednesday night. We took off from JFK out to London to Heathrow with my wife and my parents. This is something becoming a little bit of a tradition now. Taking my
It's a
parents
great
away for
tradition.
Christmas, surprising them with the last gift that we hand them is usually an envelope that has some sort of clip art image of we're going to Ireland or we're going to London. And no, it's just it's a rewarding feeling, but it's also just we were talking about this last night. It's like it seems to be like the only thing that I like strive to want to do right now with like we're getting successful with this brand and you get some, more money than you used to have or whatever it might be. And like we can have a house and we're about to have a kid. It's like, we have a job, we have a career here and it's like fun. Like, I started this job as a 21-year-old kid making like $45,000, basically losing money traveling into the city every single day. New York City was an absolute nightmare. Then got an apartment with my buddies. I was losing money on that. Like there was never a time where you could actually have money to spend on people for a long time. You were just grinding, grinding, grinding. And now it's like the only thing that actually brings me joy is like experiencing things with my family who's always done stuff for me. Like genuinely, genuinely, it's my favorite thing in the world to be able to go to my dad who works 361 days a year. The 4 days that he gets to go on vacation are the only days he gets to get off the restaurant. It'd be like, you don't have to worry about anything this week. I got you. And like that to me is like the best feeling in the world. Watching my parents, who you never think about your parents as this, but like they're you, like they're people. Like they were 21 years old one time, they were 30 years old. I'm gonna be hopefully 66 years old one day, like with the same thoughts and feelings and excitement about like traveling to new places. And like you think of your parents as just like your old parents, but like they are excited to go to London and see new buildings and try new drinks and try new dinners. And the fact that I get to bring them to that, to me, yeah, me and my wife, we were getting like emotional about it, talking about it, that like are in the position to be able to do something like that. Because they have worked their whole lives doing stuff for us. I'm sure this story is the most common thing ever, right? Parents are the best. They're just selfless and devoted to just like your life. Like when you have a kid, your life is now devoted to that person. So to be able to give back to them is awesome. And yeah, it was just a great weekend. My buddy Kyle, who's the best man at my wedding, him and his fiance Annette moved out, which is Robbie Berger's cousin, by the way. That's so I always talk about the
Incredible.
connection. Um, he We stayed with them for the first 2 nights, and my parents stayed at this hotel, the Langham, which was beautiful. It was awesome. It was right there. The thing that I loved is we stayed like in like a neighborhood of London first. That was our first experience of it. It wasn't like the Big Ben and all the touristy stuff. It was like my buddy's flat, like in Marylebone, whatever you say, across from like the courthouse that Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr got married at. And like it was very like local, and all the restaurants that we went to
Like a
were
little
very
community that you were
like,
kind of like staying in.
and it was beautiful. It was like really, really beautiful area, like all the great restaurants. It's almost like staying in the West Village. Like you're just like, okay,
Yeah.
like this is like, it's not Times Square. It's, low rise buildings. You've got really great restaurants, and all the restaurants that we went to were like, if you were living in London, if you were a London resident, going to the restaurants that we went to were like hard to get into, like local gems that like you had on your list. Like, oh, we got to go try that. Even you in Scottsdale, you're like, oh, there's a couple restaurants that like I'd love to try and get to one night. Like we hit those as tourists. So like that was really cool. Every person in the restaurant was a London local native. So um we really, really enjoyed it. We had Indian one night at this place, the Tamil Crown. It was like 35 minutes outside of the city. Basically, like, I think a lot of like the finance bros live out there. It's like not in the city, but they can get to their job early and, easy enough from this town. So it was like, it's just this one Indian spot in the middle of just like flats and houses. So you're like, this has to be legit. And you walk in, they're making I don't know any of the stuff I ate. I know nothing, but like they just threw a bunch of stuff on the table. It wasn't too spicy. To me, it was like a Mediterranean like fajita. You're just putting like steak,
Ooh.
and you're putting like lamb and fucking chicken and shrimp all in like this tortilla that they make right in front of you. And like you're putting in all these types of juices. And Trent's not on the show right now. He'll be on later, but like he'd be getting rock hard right now listening to this stuff. Like just really, really good stuff. And then yeah, I don't know, it's just it's a great city. It's New York City esque with a lot of history and beauty. Not to say New York City doesn't have any of that, excuse me, but you look at one building and it's like the Tower of London, and it's got like jewels and crowns inside there. And then the next building looks like it's out of a Marvel movie. It's like a huge, modern, ridiculous architecture building, and like that's a very cool concept to have in a city where it's like, the contrast of 1,000-year-old building and a building that's like in Forbes for the best architecture in new modern society. Having that right next to each other is a really cool thing. So I loved it, man. I really loved it.
How did you do on your outfits? I know the outfits in London are big,
Yeah, I mean, I mailed it in, I would say. Like, I got a couple nice things, but it was cold, so like there was a lot of like bundling up, and like you didn't really care what you looked like. Like my parents looked good. My dad always had like a collared shirt with a sweater over, and he had this nice pants on. I was kind of like wearing my cool guy clothes, like those baggy pants I wear all the time now, and
Mhm.
just like a big puffy jacket. Because at some point you just wanted to like survive on the street. You were just like so cold that you were just like, we got to get to the bar or the pub, whatever they call it.